if we take a look into Bulgaria, so in 30 years it will be no Bulgaria, but it will be only the beautiful Black Sea side. So, but in Western Europe, as far as I know, it's also very bad, because only one country in which we have demographic growth, really good demographic growth, it was 2 or 3 years ago, it was France. But only because of this, because in France we cannot just mark in statistic unbelief or the nation. And if we do it, so you see that all this growth in France, they are Islamic, I will not use this word, but Islamic ghettos. Because they have 8, 9, 10 children, but ethnic France, they do not have any children anymore. So whether we have any chance with this regulation we have in our legal system, because I am skeptic, I think that we do not have any chance in the future. And just a short remark to this, what Professor Andrzejewski has told about the Polish legal system and the trust in courts and everything like this. Because now we have a very, very big problem concerning the Polish courts, Polish judgments and everything what is bound with. And what is very interesting about the security of the family law, our government, our new government, is preparing now a new divorce system, which is not very well known in public, because they're preparing now the divorce by notaries, just using the notarial acts, notarial forms. And it's something like, I think, I'm not sure whether there's anybody here from Romania, because I think it's more Romanian model. I think in Romania it's possible. Yeah, it's possible just to divorce by notaries. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So because in our system, I think it means Hungarian-Polish system. It was a court. In Poland, it was a district court. So the second level of it was very important for Polish law, just the divorce. It's important issue, family protection issue. So it is why it wasn't a simple court. It was a district court. And now, because of the lack of the jurisdiction, because of the problem with the court, they are preparing notarial divorce system, which is based, I've told, on Romanian or Slovenian, I think so also. And whether it goes positively against these rules on protection of the family, how do you think, Mr. Professor, whether it's a good solution just to easy to divorce? Thank you very much.
My English is not good, consequently, it's my support English. I will say in Polish. Ja myślę, że prawo nie powinno ułatwiać rozwodu.
Okay, he thinks that a law should not favor and make divorce easy.
Ale też prawo nie powinno ułatwiać zawierania małżeństw.
Okay, should not also make it easy for people to get married.
Problemem jest trywializacja zawierania małżeństw, rozwiązania małżeństw i wielu innych spraw. Trywializacja to jest taki znak czasu.
So he thinks that the sign of the time is trivialization, both of the divorce and the marriage as a contract and as a...
Ale też to nie jest wątek demograficzny, dlatego mówiłem o tej książce pana Roseta, nie wiem czego. I o tym polskim prawie rozwodowym, że ono nie ułatwia rozwodu. Litera nie ułatwia rozwodu. Sędziowie być może, ale litera nie ułatwia rozwodu.
Okay, I thought that this is not a demographic issue, right? So I mean, divorces is not maybe something related to the birth rate.
Jest bardzo silny nacisk, żeby tak się stało. Są publikacje na ten temat, są oczywiście przykłady z innych krajów, żeby procedurę zmienić na łatwiejszą.
Okay, yeah. So there is tendency to make the procedure for divorce easier, and as you said, it's probably going to be true.
Bardzo było ciekawe, jakiś rok temu ministerstwo proponowało obowiązkowe mediacje.
Okay. Yeah. So last year there was also a suggestion that we should have a meditation before a divorce as a must, right? But I think it was not legislated.
Czyli porozmawiaj, zanim się rozwiedziesz. To jest rzecz zupełnie banalna, mi się wydawało, ale atak mediów liberalnych nie tylko był straszny, ministerstwo się wycofało.
So it seems that the banal thing is to talk before a divorce somehow was so attacked by the media that the idea was just killed in the bud.
W tej chwili spodziewamy się różnych rozwiązań w prawie rodzinnym. Jedno z pierwszych będzie z pewnością liberalizacja prawa zgodowego.
Yeah, so now we are witnessing probably very new resolutions, and one of them will be a new divorce law.
They will take the divorces from the courts. Just the notary is very easy to get a divorce in Poland, I think in 2-3 months. If president will sign, of course. I'm not sure whether it will be signed.
Michał Michalski, thank you very much. So, one remark to Professor Andrzejewski in this question. I highly recommend once again this book by Karl Zimmermann, Family and Civilization, because on the basis of Roman Empire he reconstructs how the desanctification of marriage, family, trivialization of collapse of family and so on, how it led to social deconstruction and finally the state deconstruction. So probably we are on this track. So this is one thing. And the question to Professor Barzo. Thank you for the collection of these measures. Do you have the data about their effectiveness? Because what we, at least in Poland, encounter is, of course, in political discussions, if the fertility didn't grow, it means that the family measures do not work. But we have, for example, for Poland, estimations done by the colleague of mine, Professor Paradysz in Poznań, who showed and calculated that although the fertility didn't grow as much as we would hope for, the decline in fertility was smaller thanks to these measures. So I think this is also important. Do you have the data for other countries? Because I think it's important to show that even though the fertility doesn't grow, there is a potential to slow down the decline. Thank you.
So I will help Professor Barzo answer the question. She relayed the answer, and she says that the data that she has available is by the national experts that provided the data, and unfortunately there is no reliable data like you have in Poland. It is missing in the other countries on the efficiency of these measures. So we do not have a way to measure them reliably, so it is not part of the publication.
If you would be able to find the potential, the prognosis from the 10 years before, what would be the fertility in 2022 or 25, maybe this could be helpful in comparing, yes? Do we reach this fertility that was prognosed or not? If not, probably, maybe this would help. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a comment and a question as well to Lila. You mentioned that Article 1 of the UNCRC does not define the concept of the child, and I was just wondering, what do you think, whether in this all ART discussion and advocating for the best interest of the child, whether it would help to have a more precise definition of a child in also national legislation, because as I see, everyone is opting for the UNCRC not to define the beginning of the child, so that even if we do not consider legal capacity or the very delicate question of abortion, etc., but just to have a precise definition in connection with this, so it would help to advocate more for the best interest of the child.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. I do think that it would, but I think that countries are kind of taking this approach of let's not address this question because it is easier to have a wider societal acceptance of the legislation if this question is left open, just as it was in the case of the UNCRC. I think that if there had been a provision that had addressed the beginning of life in the UNCRC, I don't think we would consider it, or I don't think it would be the most widely ratified convention in the world today, because simply there are countries, there are cultures that would not accept it. And I think that goes for national legislations as well, which is a shame, because I do think that it would help with the best interest principle if we had clearly defined definition of a child. So yeah, I agree with that statement. So thank you so much.
Ja uważam, że nie należy nikomu podpowiadać, żeby cokolwiek zmieniać w konwencji.
Okay, I think that really we should not say to anybody what should be done in the convention.
I didn't mean in the convention, I meant on the national level. So it actually leaves the opportunity to the states to decide in the beginning of childhood, and I see that everyone in the national legislation are opting for this opportunity not to define it. And I would just, it's just a wonder, I don't really know the answer, just in this ART debate, whether it would actually help to not to touch the legal capacity issue, etc., just to have a more precise definition.
To znaczy, co zrobią poszczególne państwa, to tutaj nie śmiem się wypowiadać. Natomiast nie mam żadnych wątpliwości, że wszelka rewizja Konwencji Praw Dziecka sprawi, że zawali się cała aksjologia tego dokumentu.
Okay, I think that whatever individual countries do, probably I don't know what they would do, but touching the basics of the convention will probably ruin the convention for all.
To jest dokument bardzo konserwatywny dzisiaj.
Yeah, so this is a very conservative document from our standpoint, but still it's binding.
While we are waiting for the questions, another comment to Michal from Professor Barzo. In the meantime, that she wanted to add to her answer that essentially that these family protection measures in Hungary started in the past, or 10 years ago. So that was kind of the period that was examined in the other countries as well. So the data that we have is rather fresh. It's only the past 10 years, but thank you for the suggestion, and we will definitely consider working with that data from 10 years ago and comparing it with the current data today.
For the discussion about the definition of the child on the national level. Well, maybe not directly, but the Polish law in the Act of 2000 on the Ombudsman on Children's Rights, there is a definition of a child which provides that child is a person from conception, from the moment of conception until the age of 18. So somehow in Poland there is...
Thank you very much, Katarzyna, for saying that. Actually, this is what I was asking. So whether such definitions would help, because as I understand, it does not consider the legal capacity because it's still from being born alive, but still gives a space for advocating or for reasoning to have such definition. And I'm not aware whether such definition exists in any other national...
There are some other national legislations, not the same level of protection as in Polish law and ombudsman, but there are some legislations, national legislations, that say that the life of the child is worthy of protection even before birth. Which is kind of open to interpretation. What does it mean even before birth, and when does it start? When does that protection start, and whether it is, how that protection should be viewed. But most countries choose not to regulate this question at all and just kind of leave it open, or have a definition, something like this.
It's in the preamble also in the UNCRC, so it's before that.
Znaczy, polska ustawa, to jest, prawie na pewno pamiętam, ustawa o Rzeczniku Praw Dziecka zawiera to sformułowanie, że od poczęcia.
Tak, właśnie o tym mówimy. Tak.
Ale zwróćcie uwagę, że norma konstytucyjna musiała być kilka razy przez Trybunał z wielkimi problemami, prawda, interpretowana.
Okay, the point was that probably the thesis that was in the ombudsman statement has to be by our tribunal repeated many times, and it really arose a lot of I would say attack and resentment.
I have a question to Professor Gordona Kovaček-Stanic. During your presentation on PPT, I saw some interesting for me wording of provision. Maybe this is some kind of normative norm or something like that. That is that every woman and every man should decide on the childbirth. So my question is, what happened if the man and woman, the father and mother, have a different decision on the childbirth?
Yes, that's a good question. And that's why I think that this provision is not sufficient enough. Because, well, if you now started with this question, I have to just give you some kind of history of this stipulation, because I was at the time in the committee for introducing the Family Act, and we, as a commission, we propose another solution that was like every woman and every man, or I'm not so sure, everyone has the right to decide a childbirth. But then, in the constitutional procedure, they changed it. Why? Because somebody thinks that if we put it like that, everybody, that would mean that all other persons, not only man and woman, father and mother, but all other persons can be involved in the decision of the abortion. They think that would mean that not mother and father, but maybe mother-in-law, maybe some institutions, maybe church, would have some impact in the abortion, decision of the abortion. And that's why they changed this stipulation and put it like that. So they have in mind only the child who is already conceived. And because they were afraid that somebody else, not only the mother, could have some impact in this decision on abortion. But they didn't see that there is also another rights and duties, let's say assisted reproduction or medical treatments. The man can just have a right to go to medical treatment by his own. So that is my explanation.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a question also to Gordana? It's a follow-up question, maybe. If there is any opinion of the Orthodox Church in Serbia on this law, because I guess that abortion is legal then, because if you have a right to do whatever you can. So is there any stand of the Orthodox Church?
Yes, the abortion is legal in Serbia, but it's not so liberal, I can say. It's not so liberal because it's liberal until 10 weeks. And after that, 10 weeks of pregnancy. And after 10 weeks, it has to be some medical reason for medical or criminal act, if it's some criminal act involved. So it's not very liberal. It has to be. We have some institutions, and inside institutions, some boards who will decide if it is possible to terminate the pregnancy or not after 10 weeks. I mean, so I can't say, I'm not aware of on stands of Orthodox Church on abortion. In one time, I was. I think about the stance of Orthodox Church on assisted reproduction, and I have their stance, and I published the article on that as well. Some techniques of medical assisted reproduction church approves, and some did not. I will give you. I have the paper in English, so if you are interested in that, I will give you this paper. Thank you.
I would like to ask Professor Mostarat, yes, that you mentioned this adult-centerism and as a detrimental effect towards like the traditional reproduction, let's say. But I would say that adult-centerism or having a child also applies to couples who can naturally conceive. Essentially, it's a decision-based approach in both cases, or is there some other essential distinction when a couple who can have a child decides to do so and an adult who cannot? So I see that it is also based on decision. One cannot do this way, but the other can do that way. And where do you see, maybe I was a bit confusing what I wanted to say, but I mean that even though if you have infertility issues or not, it is your decision to have a child, essentially.
I'm not a family lawyer, so I know that my answer is not from, maybe it's more philosophical than technical. I think that there is a difference. I think yesterday we were commenting on that, because I think that from the point of view of anthropology, and as Pope Francis said in Laudato Si, we have to acknowledge that we cannot have everything we want. I don't know, maybe it's too simple to say this, but I'm pretty sure it's important for life. I will not be, I explain to my students, I'm not able to become a pilot of a plane. I'm not able to do that, no? And sometimes I have to accept that I will not do whatever I want to do. So I think that the problematic, maybe this can sound too tough, but I want you to understand it in a more philosophical position, that if I want a child and I make whatever it takes to have a child, maybe my approach to that child is not good. Because a child, in my opinion, a child is always a gift. If you take it as something you get, no? I think that maybe they can be happy. I cannot deny, of course, not in my, it's not this my position, but I saw several times friends of mine. One of my best friends, she's a woman. She was in the military. She's a doctor in the military in Spain, and she didn't marry. She didn't find the right man, and she wanted to have a child. I respect her decision, but I'm not sure about her way, the way in which she is approaching to this child. I don't know, it's maybe too general, but this is more or less my view. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
We used to say that sometimes law is ancilla politica, is servant of politics. Sometimes it is considered to be servant of medicine. And it depends who set the rules, not what is possible, but what is acceptable. And talking about human rights and reproductive rights issue, it's very modern to talk about reproductive rights. There are always clash of interests, so we need to balance them. So what did you say, the child as a gift, not as an object of commercial, So we need to protect the best interests of the child, because in this situation we preserve, we enable the life to come into this world, so it deserves, we are responsible for this child as well. So we are not too free from legal point of view to allow everything. From philosophical point of view, I also used to say I wanted to be an opera singer. I don't have voice, so nobody would hire me. So some people are also in situation not to find right man. So it depends what the choices are. I said from my nature, I'm happy that I'm not a legislator, because I always have empathy for people. But if you're a legislator, then you have a huge responsibility for a set of values you build into the legal system. And this always talk about values. So it's very different, because we are a pluralistic society, tensions are higher, financial interest is huge, as we saw. So we need to be aware of these problems as well. So I liked this approach.
Technical approach.
Maybe you would like to be a full professor in 5 years. This is not possible. You need to take your way. And who knows whose way is right for me? 1 child, no children, 5 children, 3 children as I wanted to have. But I need to accept reality. And that's the way how we build happy individuals. Because they are not unhappy, it's not tragic if they can't have everything. So it's also good for intended parents, but not that didn't manage to be as well. Sometimes I don't know.
Thank you very much. Maybe a comment or a question. What do you think about it, Professor Montserrat? Thank you for your speech. I had made some notes on the phone. I have a pen. I think the perspective that we maybe should also embrace in such discussions is the secularization, because this is a wide and deep issue, but maybe to some extent the problems and this dilemma, the right to have a child, comes with the secularization, which somehow throws away this notion of gift from our civilization. And when we look at the, let's say, 2 last centuries, and let's take the concept of the welfare state, I'm saying sometimes that the welfare state became some kind of secular religion, which means the secular state promised a lot to people, promised that in general all your dreams will come true, yes? And we see this, for example, in the pension systems, yes? You don't have to take care of the family, of the children. We, the state, will take care of you. We will give you a place to stay, we will give you something to eat, and so on and so on. So we will take care of you. So people didn't have to worry and care too much. Of course, I'm simplifying it to some extent. And maybe this is the somehow reason that we are looking at the law these days in such a manner that law is the machine for my dreams to come true, yes? If I want something, there must be some law invented or written that I get what I want. And the discussion of this assisted reproduction technologies in Poland also, is connected with this notion that if I have the right to something, I have to get it. And we can use a simple comparison. I want a Mercedes-Benz, yes? And my neighbor has this Mercedes-Benz. Should I be allowed to take it from him because I want Mercedes-Benz? Probably not, yes? Probably this is not the best way to get it. And I think the second thing that we are like contributing, maybe it's not a good word, but this Cartesian revolution that happened in the Western civilization also somehow trained us to think or to believe that what comes to our mind, what we may think of, should become reality. Yes, and this is not always true. Of course, in some cases, yes, but in some cases not. Like you were saying about being the pilot of the plane. Yes, we may think of different things, but not everything may become real. So I think the secularization, this welfare state promise, and I would say utopia, or rather a false promise of the welfare state and legal system connected with it, that creates the impression and creates the expectations also of young generations these days that, well, I have the right to this, that, and maybe something else. So I wonder, what do you think about it? Thank you.
I just have to say that I completely agree with you. You have explained better than me. But the proof, I was thinking when you were talking, the proof that this welfare and secularization trend is not right, and we will see, is that people don't want to have children. So this is not working anymore. So we have no future if you continue in this direction. In fact, now, and there are several studies on why religious people is having children, non-religious people, they have less. No, they have, but they have less children. So I think that all those factors should be rethink. We have to rethink on that because, of course, if we continue in that way, there is no future. So this welfare is for nobody. It's a welfare for no future.
I had this interesting talk with doctoral student. I didn't remember your name, Bartosz? Tomasz, sorry. Yesterday, and we talked, and I think that also one of the things we lose with secularization is this relationship to other human being, the member of my family, yes? Because in the Christian perspective, even though we say linguistically, my wife, my child, we know that in Christian perspective, this is not in terms of my property, yes, my wife, my child, but it's not something that belongs to me and I have the full right to it, yes? And I think when we lose this Christian perspective, I think it's hard to see, it's hard not to look at the relationships and other people as, I'm sorry for the word, commodities to some extent. Yes, thank you.
Maybe just one comment, not really a question from me. I really enjoyed both of your presentations. Thank you so much. It was incredibly interesting and enlightening. And just one comment, because you mentioned the Casablanca Declaration, and I think we have heard so many kind of negative or gloomy predictions of where family law is going, but I think one of the positive developments just happened last week, which was that in the European Parliament there was a joint vote on amending the European Directive on the human trafficking, and the amendment, this was on February 15th, the amended text, it still has to be voted on, of course, by the Council of Ministers, but it includes surrogacy as a potential for human trafficking. So I think that this issue is getting more and more attention, and I think I can see that there is a responsible legislation happening in the near future. So thank you so much, both of you. It was amazing.
Thank you. I would like to ask something, the Edith, about the family home. And you just said that after the divorce, the child could remain in a family home. In Serbia, for instance, there is the possibility for child and the other parent who exercises parental right to be in the same home, and that doesn't matter if this parent is the owner or leases or something. So they have the right to habitatio, we say it in Latin, habitatio, until the child reaches 18 years of age, and if the child and the other parent who is exercises parental right doesn't have any other apartment, of course. So they can still live in the apartment owned by the other parent. So is it also in Hungary, is it also for the parent or is it just for the child? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. Actually, it was in my presentation also, but I cleared because I thought that it would be so longer. But yes, in Hungary it is similar. So the other parent also who can exercise the parental rights. So, yes.
Also a question for Edith, sorry, other presentation professors. But are property rights of the other parent who is owner of family home somehow limited? Because the owner has some rights if you have if you rent an apartment. So are there any other provisions limiting his rights? Because it isn't, if he's owner, I have right to enter into the apartment. It is not so pleasant after divorce, especially.
I hope it is switched on. Yes. Yes. So there are limiting rights, and I can't find the word, but there is a fee for the usage of the apartment if the other party will use it as the home, and for this fee of the usage of the apartment, there is a quite complicated regulations in the Hungarian system. But yes, there are.
It's not a party of view patrimonial property regime, but I have a question, because whether in Hungarian private international law rules are such rules of choice of law according to property regime, matrimonial property regime, because we have such rules in Polish law, and this choice of law can be based on nationality or habitual residence of one of the spouses. How it looks, for example, as far as I know, maybe the same or very close regulation of choice of law is also in Romanian law. But I'm not sure what is in fact in Hungarian, so I would like to know it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the really complicated question. No problem, no problem. However, I am not an international private lawyer. That is why I don't want to say any concrete, because I don't want to mislead you. But we can discuss it at the dinner. That there is no recording.